I currently live in Toronto, Canada. I went to university here, a university called University of Toronto. And I studied communications, culture, and information technology. So that was my major. And then I minored in professional writing and women and gender studies. And I loved it. I loved every single second of school. I'm a bit of a nerd. You know, if I could go back, I would go back in a heartbeat because I just want to write an essay. I miss that a lot. And outside of that, I've worked in marketing for a little over 3 years. Everything from advertising at McCann, which is an advertising agency here. If you ever watched Mad Men, we were in Mad Men. It's a show. It's an advertising show. So if you ever watched that, McCann was in that. I've also worked in offline and digital marketing for TEDx. I worked at a startup, so a small business in England. It was a startup marketplace in the beauty world. And currently, I work for a high net worth and ultra high net worth wealth management firm here in Toronto, and I work as a marketing and communication specialist. So yeah, I work in the finance world now. It's very different from what I pictured I would be doing. But you know, that's the thing about digital marketing. It can really take you anywhere. So that's enough about me. I want to know a little bit more about all of you. And I know we have quite a number of people in here. So I'm sure you can all see the questions that are up here. If you can put that into the chat, just answer the questions. I'll answer them as you guys put them into the chat, and then I'll just read through some of them and see what's popping, who's in today. So let's see. Let me answer this. So you guys know my name, Angela. My favorite thing about Toronto, I love the summers here. I think because it gets so cold, the summers are just like an illuminating time and everyone is just so excited. I know I am excited about summer. Unfortunately, it's ending, but yeah. So I love Toronto. I also love how peaceful Toronto is. I'm from Lagos, and Lagos is a hustle and bustle, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about tranquility as well. What shows am I currently binge watching? I'm currently binge watching Love Island. It's my favorite show. It's a reality TV show. I'm also watching a lot of Bob's Burgers because 2020 is hard enough, so I don't really want to watch anything that's too difficult. And then why am I interested in digital marketing? So I knew for quite a while that I wanted to study communications. I didn't know what digital marketing was. I didn't even know there was a difference between communications and digital marketing. And for me, it was a confluence and kind of a convergence of all my different skill sets, all my different interests. And also, I'm a very visual person. So I loved the fact that I could create aesthetics, create a whole new world, really. So that's pretty much why I, studied digital marketing, and now I work in digital marketing. I have interest in other parts of marketing as well. I have a big interest in product marketing. I just took a product marketing course with BrainStation. There's a lot of overlap with both, but yeah, digital marketing is my first love. And I would say writing too. That's why I took a writing minor. Hi, Timilane, Marcus. Hi. Kole Adeyemi. You like the traffic in Lagos. Wow. So Joy said that she likes the traffic in Lagos. I do not like that. I guess maybe when you can chill out, but outside of that, no. Indian matchmaking, I watched that. That was a great binge one. And you're interested in transitioning from business managing consulting to communications and digital marketing. Perfect. So I currently work in both communications and digital marketing, but I'm going to be moving into a solely digital marketing focus in my job. But what I can tell you about the difference, so before I get into my presentation, let me just quickly cover this. So communications is really much about that touch point with your clients through emails, through letters, through really talking to them, as well as internal communications. And that's a big part of communications a lot of people don't think about, but it's important to make sure that everyone that's on the journey with you, so like all your coworkers, all your employees, they understand the vision, and that vision carries out into the work culture. So that's one of the big differences. And with communications, there's a lot of PR kind of baked into that as well. So it is very different disciplines, very, very different disciplines. I don't mind communications, but it's not my, my forte or my go-to. So Audrey, I love that name. You live in Lagos, bop bop. I love the diversity in culture, definitely the spirit of hard work. One thing I will say about Nigerians is that we work really hard. I've met a lot of people from a lot of places in my life. I've lived in a lot of places as well. I've lived here, I've lived in France, and I've lived in Nigeria. And I would say that Nigerians work really, really hard. Nightlife, yes, I did share. Yeah. That's one thing that it doesn't beat. So you're in Manitoba, Taiwo. I didn't know Manitoba was that close to America. Interesting, okay. Power series. I haven't watched Power. Everyone tells me to. Okay. Digital marketing enables me to understand various stakeholders' pain and gain points. I'm going to get into that. So Janet is in Toronto. She loves summer and fall. I love autumn too. I'm a fashion designer, graduate, interested in understanding how to transition into marketing. To build my career, I'll be able to use for both my business and blog. Perfect. We'll be going over some things that will really help with like website building. All right, so last person, I'm just gonna read through Tommy, the peace and safety of Houghton, Michigan. I've only been to Detroit. That's my only touch point in Michigan. It was all right. I liked it. Oh yeah, autumn colors. You're gonna see in my presentation, like my whole presentation is like autumn colors. Money Heist, everyone tells me to watch that. But like I said, I'm trying to watch only really like positive, laid back stuff right now. Like 2020 is hard enough. Okay. Hi, Afyong. Hi, Chika. Hi, John. Okay. Nice to meet you all. Nice to meet everyone. All right. I'm gonna move it along. But yeah, it's good to see. I'm gonna actually check out some of the stuff you guys are watching, because pretty much that's all to do. That's all we can do now. All right, and then I wanted to make sure everyone, like, please don't be shy today. As you can see, I talk a lot. Like I've spent 5 minutes just talking about nothing. So I want this to be interactive, that's how I learn, and I'm hoping that it can be a dialogue. So please ask loads and loads of questions. Feel free to interrupt me when I'm talking. I'm used to it, or my friends do it, I do it. So please be feel welcome, okay? All right, so today I'm going to be throwing quite a lot at you, but we're going to be going through digital marketing, introduction, high level, but I've put in a lot of resources that hopefully we can send this all to you after, so you can take a look at those and read more in-depthly. But there'll be time for questions at the end if there's anything that you want me to cover a little bit more in-depthly that I have, the foresight in, because again, digital marketing is so wide. I didn't even realize it until I got into digital marketing, just how much you can do and how much you can specialize. But I'll go into this later. So we're also going to go into like digital marketing techniques, things that can help you with your small business, things that you need to be aware of when you're going into interviews, things that you need to kind of build your skills in. You don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert. No one is an expert, but you need to be cognizant of these things to really help you in your journey with digital marketing. And then working in digital marketing, I'm going to go through my journey, some tips and tricks, what worked for me, what I think might work for you. And then you can, of course, ask me questions about, starting out in digital marketing or continuing, transitioning, whatever it is. So a few housekeeping things. I'm sure you guys know all of this already, mute if you're not talking. If you can have a pen and paper, we have a few exercises that might need a pen and paper or your phone, like the notes on your phone or something. if you can, download Canva. So it's Canva. It's an app. It should be on iPhone and Androids, or you can also do it on your computer. Just register, it's free. I'm gonna go through kind of how to build a campaign. We're gonna do it together. You know, I haven't used Canva in about a year and a bit now, just because I have a graphic designer that I work with now. But when I worked for a startup, that's how I did most of it. I did some of it on Adobe, but of course I was trained in that, but you don't need to be doing all that. But we get into all of that. And then, you know, like I mentioned, bear with me if anything goes wrong with Zoom today. I haven't used Zoom since the deep of quarantine in April. We use WebEx on my job, so I haven't been using Zoom. All right. So let's get stuck into it. So before we go into digital marketing, I wanted to kind of cover outbound versus, you know, inbound marketing. So as you can see here, outbound marketing is more about brand awareness. You know, you're seeking out the customers, you're pushing your products and your services out there. It's the billboards that you see, it's the telemarketing that you never pick up, it's the trade shows that no one really goes to anymore except for professionals, you know, the TV ads, the radio ads. I guess when I'm in Nigeria, I listen to radio a lot more because I'm in a car a lot more. So, but really, I have my ad blocker on for everything, and I watch all my TV on my computer, and I have like multiple ad blockers. So I have not seen an ad unless I seek it out, because obviously I work in marketing, so I like to see the ads. But when I'm just watching stuff, I haven't seen an ad in months. So that just sets the tone of my thoughts on outbound marketing. It's basically buying screen time with your potential customers. You know, one thing about outbound marketing is that it is very one way. You're talking to them, you're shouting at them, you might be whispering, but it's still one way. And there's little to no added value. You know, sometimes an advertisement, I think Nike does do a good job of doing ads that add a little bit of value in terms of self-esteem. Sometimes I watch a Nike and I'm like, oh my God, I can take on the world. I can go to Mars, but really it's still a one-way communication. There's no way, unless I seek them out through inbound marketing channels, for me to really communicate back to them. So that's just a quick overview of outbound marketing. Inbound marketing is your customers find you through the value that you've added to their lives. So you add value through your content and you gain their trust and their interest. And the thing about inbound marketing is that there's a higher return on investments. So for example, you can spend, and I'm saying this as an example that I know of, a company has spent 2 million on billboards to launch this new product. And then you give the social marketing or the inbound marketing team or digital marketing team, sorry, you give them 150,000 and they're able to track return on investment of more than 300%. So that just gives you an example of how powerful digital marketing can be, especially, and it's honestly because of there's a change in the world that we live in now. You know, we don't communicate the same way, we don't interact the same way. So marketing and business and sales and everything has to change with that. It's earning your customers' trust through two-way communication. So that's the thing about inbound marketing. Social media use two-way communication. You know, no, I don't know of any brand that would turn off their comments unless it's like an influencer, but we're not counting those. You know, that would turn off their comments. They always want that opportunity for their customers to communicate with them, even if their customer is raging on them, even if people are insulting them. There's always that open channel for two-way communication. And it's about trust, you know? So, and the main thing about inbound marketing is that you have to entertain and or educate. It will be best if you do both in, you know, one post or in one campaign or whatever it is. But you really have to make sure that you're not just producing content to produce content. You need to be entertaining or educating your consumer base, you know? They need some kind of substance to what you're giving to them. So that's important to keep in mind. And you're bringing customers to you rather than fighting for their attention. So what I mean by this is, think about how you, right now, how you find what you're looking for. I'll give an example. So I buy a lot of skincare, and you'll see with this presentation, I apologize in advance. It's a lot of skincare examples. I buy a lot of skincare. That's one of my passions, I guess you can say, thanks to my mom, shout out to her. When I'm looking for something new, the first thing I go is Google. I search moisturizer for winter or whatever it is that I'm looking for. I am searching for the product. The product isn't shouting at me. So that's the key to inbound marketing. And then, so with all these people searching for these products, how do you then attract them? I'll go into that later. So, but the name of the game, like I said before, is adding value. And it's not just an oversaturated market. People always say the market is oversaturated, it's oversaturated. It's an oversaturated world. The world is oversaturated. Everyone is talking all the time. Twitter is going off. Instagram is going off. No one shuts up, basically. So it's an oversaturated world. So the way for you to cut through that noise is adding value that is specific to your target market. So you could add value, for example, if you are a basketball brand, you're not going to be talking about skincare because your fan base do not care, you know? You have to add value to them that is relevant to them. So let's move it along. So I'm gonna have my first exercise. Wait, before we go into that, I hope everyone are there any questions? Does everyone follow along? I'm trying to see if there are any questions. Let's see.
I think there'll be question, Angela, when we're in this for an hour. So okay, that we can ask for questions at that point, else things are gonna just drag.
Okay, no problem. Oh, my mom is here. Hi, Mom. All right, so our first exercise. So I want you to look at these two campaigns, and I want everyone to put into the chat what they think is outbound marketing, what they think is inbound marketing, just based off of what you're seeing here. I'm gonna give you guys like 2 minutes. Just look at it, put in 1 is outbound or inbound, 2 is outbound or inbound, whatever you feel. I don't feel intimidated. I won't say your name out. All right. Okay. Thanks, Joy. Anyone else before I reveal the answer? Great. Okay, good. So you guys are getting it. Perfect. All right, let me move this along. So yeah, you're all right. The first is inbound marketing. The second is outbound. So as you can see, so the first one is Crave Beauty. It's a beauty brand that I like a lot. I think they have very good brand presence. So what they're doing here is they're asking questions. They're interacting with their audience, you know. So through this, not only are they having that communication, but then in the following, so I didn't screenshot the following Instagram post, but then they show their expertise. So they're adding value. And then with the clean and clear ad, you know, be louder, be clear, be you. What does that mean? You know, it doesn't really resonate. It is, and let me just be clear about something. There is still a place for outbound traditional marketing, but it has to be a symbiotic relationship, you know. I would say for new brands or brands with limited resources, the focus should be inbound, but as you grow, there definitely is a space for you to have outbound marketing into your marketing strategy as well. But I would never go to market with any product or any service with just outbound marketing. That is just a recipe for disaster in 2020. So that's basically what I'm trying to allude to here. All right, let's keep it moving. So what is digital marketing? I know a dumb question, but you know, it covers all online marketing initiatives, including but not limited to websites, social media, search. There are a lot of tactics available under this umbrella of digital marketing. And the key as a digital marketer is knowing which channels your audience uses, having a clear picture of how each of these channels and each of these assets supports your overarching goals. So you need to start from the top. I mean, we're going to go over this later, but you need to start from the top with your goals and then work your way down. Let me just show you. So this is just an example of, a social media post. You've all seen this. You know what the deal is. So this is from Warby Parker. They're an eyeglass / sunglass brand, and their branding is on point. If you guys are going to take notes on anything, take notes on some of the brands that I mentioned and go back and look at their pages, look at what people have written about them. They're doing really good work in connecting with your market. This other example over here is just an email marketing that I get from a brand. And what I really like about this is that it's segmented into different things that could interest me. So I might not be interested in this, but I might be interested in, the part where she says what I'm talking about. So email marketing is a great tool to use as well. And this example in the middle is just an SEO from Warby Parker as well. So I just searched in eyeglasses Toronto, and they were one of the first to pop up. And that's what search engine optimization can do. And I'll be going over that later. But yeah, so these are just some of the tactics. I can't hear you clearly. Can everyone hear me?
It's cutting in.
Yeah, it's cutting, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, sorry about that. Yep, okay, great. So digital marketing can be daunting, but nobody has all the answers. I'm always learning every single day because the world is changing on the daily now. Like every single day, for example, a year ago, nobody was talking about TikTok. Absolutely nobody was talking about TikTok. And now it's one of the biggest drivers in the music industry. Is one of the biggest drivers in the food industry. It hasn't quite reached the finance industry. We're quite slow. I don't think it ever will, but it's crazy to think that just a year ago, absolutely no one was talking about it. So that just goes to show, like for someone like me, if I was going to move into a company that was using TikTok, there's a bunch of stuff I'm going to have to learn. So it's always changing. So don't feel like you have to be caught up on every single thing. It takes time. And there's plenty you can do in the realm of digital marketing without spending a lot of money. But when it comes to reaching new audiences, that's when a little bit of budget can go a long way, but it's not necessary. And every part of digital marketing is a great opportunity to learn something. It's all about starting small, testing, learning, and then growing over time. All right, let's keep it pushing. So, customer journeys. I wanted to start here because I think one of the things a lot of people don't understand with digital marketing and marketing as a whole is about the customer and not the product. It's about your customer. That's what drives everything that is what should drive everything that you do. So with customer journeys, this is the process buyers go through to become aware of your product or your service, evaluate, and then purchase a new product or service. So your market is out there, but let me go through the stages first. So the awareness stage, obviously the buyer realizes they have a problem, and then with the consideration. So awareness stage is just, I need a new phone. I need a new pair of glasses. And then consideration, you're searching, you're asking your friends, you're searching on Google, you're going to influencers, you're going on YouTube. YouTube is a big one for me as well. And then the decision stage is where you make that decision. So what your market is out there. Like there's a market for you. You just need to find them and they need to find you. And that's where digital marketing comes into play, them finding you. Because there's someone out there searching for exactly what you're trying to sell, but they need to find you. So establishing yourself as a key player in the industry through content and clear branding builds the trust that leads to conversion. It's all about trust. It's all about and if you think about it, even in a relationship, like with your friends and your family, they trust you because they know that you understand them. And it's the exact same thing. It's human nature and exact same thing. So digital marketing working hand in hand with product marketing can also, so digital marketing really addresses the consideration and decision stage. Well, with the awareness stage, digital marketing and product marketing kind of working hand in hand, those really address the awareness stage, making customers aware of the problem that they might have. Because what you don't know is that a lot of times it's kind of crazy how marketing can work. You don't think you have a problem, but through marketing, all of a sudden you're like, I need this new pan. I'm saying that because that exact thing happened to me last week. I was like, I need this new pan. I don't need a new pan, but all of a sudden I had this problem through marketing. So product marketing and digital marketing can address the awareness stage as well. So think on how you find new products nowadays. So really think on that and think of yourself as a customer, and that would help drive how you market to other people. And of course, like traditional PR, like public relations and partnerships play a role here, but they are not necessary for conversion. You can convert with just digital marketing. You don't necessarily need to have PR and partnerships to convert, right? So content marketing. And I'm sure all of you are thinking, why are we going over all of this stuff before we get to digital marketing? But these are the things that make digital marketing work. So content marketing is a big, and before I even go into this, when people hear content marketing, they think just, like articles. Every single thing, that Instagram post, that Instagram story, Reels, IGTV, that three-word Twitter post, that's all content. So it's all linked into content marketing. And with content marketing, this is like a marketing program that centers on creating, publishing, and distributing content for your target audience. It's usually online now in 2020. The goal of it is to attract new customers. So the goal of content marketing isn't necessarily always it is still to inform your current client base, but a lot of the time the main goal is to attract new customers by building that trust to them, by them knowing, okay, this is an expertise in what I'm looking for, and I trust them, and I'm going to buy from them. While inbound marketing can be looked at, so inbound marketing that we talked about can be looked at as like the methodology, content marketing is more specific inbound strategy of writing content that your audience will find valuable. By creating content specifically designed to appeal to your dream customers, you can attract qualified prospects to your business and keep them coming back for more. Because that's another thing. You just don't want to attract people and then they never come back. You also want to keep them coming back for more. And that's why it's a continuous stream. Marketing never stops, goes on and on and on and on. So with the content funnel, so think about top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, tip of the funnel. So top of the funnel is more wide-reaching blog posts, social media content. It's kind of open to everyone. Middle of the funnel is more targeted to your customer base that you already have, which might also lend to bringing in more customers, but it's really targeted to them to keep them coming back for more. Webinars on I'm going to use skincare a lot because that's pretty much all I consume. But so like bringing on an expert to talk about acne, having that as a webinar and having your customers tune into that. That's middle of the funnel. Email marketing can also be middle of the funnel. And then tip of the funnel is content is usually behind a paid registration, really specified content. Not all companies, not all brands, not all businesses do this. Because it might not just work for your business model. But for example, at my job, the really detailed financial projections or insights on the markets, you have to be a customer. You have to have invested money with us to be able to access that kind of insight, because that's really, really granular stuff that you have to pay money for. So some beauty brands have access sessions to beauty professionals that you have to pay for and stuff like that. So that's tip of the funnel. So, and I just want to note that content, like I said before, is not limited to articles. video, photos, audio, podcasts, they're all content production. Like they're all under the bracket. I'm sure you all know that video is queen or king at the moment, and you should be optimizing for video if you can, to the best of your ability. And it's the key to really creating impactful content. Like I said, look at TikTok, kind of ruling our lives right now. All right, so really quickly, why digital marketing? With brand awareness, like, do you want more people to know about your brand or your products or your services? Lead generation, do you want people that have never bought for you? Do you want to bring them on that buyer journey with you? Existing customer growth, do you want people who have already bought from you to buy more, to buy new products, to buy more frequently? The great thing about digital marketing is that the tactics scale up. So tactics used for small businesses are the same tactics that I use today. Like the tactics I used when I worked for a smaller business are the same exact tactics I use today at $1 billion company. Like it's crazy how much it scales up. So you just need to understand the basics and start working at it, trying and failing. I failed so many times, you know, because I was running the digital marketing for that startup, and that was the first time I'd ever run, you know, something like that by myself. And I failed so many times, but it's trial and error. And when you get it right, it's amazing. And, you know, there are great results from getting it right. So all that to say, don't be afraid to fail. Failure is just learning. All right, digital marketing strategy. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys, like a strategy is a clear plan of what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, what your expectations are, how success will be measured. It should be clear. So all these I'm going to go into more in-depthly. It should be clear for you, for anyone else that's working with you. And if it's not clear to you, it's not going to be clear to your consumers. So keep that in mind. Audience personas, are going to that more. Branding, you know, colors, tone of voice, fonts, imagery. A lot of the time when people think of branding, they think just, you know, my colors. Maybe sometimes you think of fonts, but tone of voice is a huge part of branding. How you talk to your customers. So for example, with the brand that I used to work with, it was very tongue-in-cheek, very, you know, jokey. That's how we talk to them on all channels, including our website. With my current brand, it's very more business, but business casual and very, you know, respectful, for lack of a better word. So tone of voice is a big thing. There are some brands that go like this, the sarcastic route. So that's something to really think about when you're thinking about branding, but we'll go into that a little bit more. Competitive analysis, you gotta look at what other people are doing and track and measure, one of the biggest things in digital marketing. One thing I did want to note though is don't make your strategy, especially your branding, especially if you're a small business and you're just starting out, do not make it too restrictive. And I say this because if you make it too restrictive, it becomes very difficult for you to produce content in a timely, always on manner, because you'll put yourself in this box and you cannot move out of it. And there's a fear of, okay, if I move out of this box, people are going to think it's a different, you know, brand. People are not going to understand that brand ethos. So you really, as much as you want to make it clear and succinct, you still don't want it to be so restrictive that it handicaps you and it bottlenecks you and you get in your own way. So another tip I would say with branding, just, you know, is one of my favorite parts of digital marketing. So make a one-pager for yourself. So have everything clearly that you can refer to. So anytime you're about to post something, you're like, oh, does this really go with my brand? Does this really go with my brand ethos? You can go back to that one page and be like, yeah, you know, this is our tone of voice, this is our colors, this is our imagery. So it works hand in hand. All right. So let's go into those, you know, tenets a little bit more. Sorry, let me just drink some water. So yeah, I have here like the first step, like I said, of any strategy. What are you trying to achieve? Your goals has to be clear. You have to be able to measure it. Please repeat after me. You have to be able to measure it. That is one of the biggest things I learned first going into marketing, I'm like, yeah, I can just say I'm going to do this. But if I do it and I can't tie it back to revenue, what is the point? I need to be able to see, okay, this brought in this amount of people. This increased sales by this much. So the example that I have here is I want 80% of my current customers to know about my new product launch after a month of production. And after a month of production, I want 5% of my current customers to make a purchase. So there are two clear things that I have here. So having 80% of my current customers to know about my new product, I can do that through email marketing, through social media, through getting the word out there about this new product. But I also want a conversion of 5% for them to make a purchase. So that's a clear goal that I can work towards. Looking at the types of goals you've set, you have to pick one to concentrate on, So you're going to have a lot of goals, rank them, concentrate on the ones that you think would be the best for your business. And really understanding the goal you're trying to hit is the first step to reaching it. Audience and customer. I actually really, really enjoy this part of digital marketing because it's fun, to give people fake names and stuff. So, with audience and customer personas, if you don't understand enough about who you're trying to reach, you'll struggle to deliver a message that's relevant enough to them, that resonates with them and adds value to them. You need to understand exactly who you're talking to, so that you're talking to them in the right way. It's the same way I won't talk to my friends the same way I talk to my mom. I have to show her a certain level of respect. And I understand that because I understand her and I understand my friends. Even I wouldn't talk to all of my friends in the same way because I understand them and I understand their personalities, how they all are. Same thing with your customers, So the steps I would say to defining your customer, like the easy steps, this is just very rudimentary and this works. Like this pretty much is all you have to do to start out. Interviews and surveys. So I've done quite a number of surveys. I've done some interviews. It's not as daunting as you think it is. Start with your friends and family. Start with existing customers. Reach out to them. Can I talk to you, about the product, about the business? And one thing I would mention when you're interviewing or surveying people, don't let your biases get in the way. Don't add leading questions. Ask questions that are as transparent as possible and let them lead you. One thing I learned from product marketing is don't let what you think your product should be or your service should be the driving factor in what it turns out to be, if that makes sense. Let what your customer, because at the end of the day, if you have this grand idea and you think this is going to be so great, everyone wants it in blue is the color that we should go for, and this is just a very granular example, but I'm like, I want blue, I'm hard set on blue, and all of your customers are like, I want it to be green. If you put out a blue product, no one is going to buy it. So what is the point? You have your blue product that you love, but no one wants it. So that's why the key to digital marketing and marketing in general is just follow the hearts of your customers, to be as cliche as possible. And then once you've done your interviews and your surveys, arrange them into 3 or 4 groups. You could do more. You could do, I would say 3. Try and keep it at 3. 2 is it's not enough, I would say. Create a character for each of these groups. I'll show you, I have an example coming up in the next slide, I believe, of how you do that. Give them a name, personality, goals, frustration, motivations, and then rank each group, because obviously one group might be more important to you in terms of your business than the other. You should try and hit them all with your content marketing and with your marketing in general. But as a small business, for anyone that has one, that it's difficult to take on all of that. So you need to really, really be as specific as you can be in order to get the best results. And the good news is that you don't need to hire like a customer research agency to do all of this for you. The easiest way to make sure you don't come up with like an overly general campaign is to make buyer personas, fictionize it. General descriptions are good. And like I said, let your customers drive your products. And yeah, moving swiftly on, I'm going to show you guys the example. And this is something I actually did for a product. So it's a customer persona I did for a fashion product that I was presenting. And I'll just walk you through it really quick. So before I even walk you through it, so the resource that I put there, Extensio, is what I used to build this. You don't have to use something. I am a visual person, so I enjoy like seeing it visually like this, but you could literally just make a template on Excel, PowerPoint, Word, whatever on your piece of paper and just put in the information that you think is relevant. So for this fashion product that I was creating, one of the customer personas that I ended up, I think I had 3. I had this time conscious person, and then I had someone that was into like saving money, and I had another one I don't quite remember right now. So for this person, she's 34, and you can see like it's weird. Like it's when you first do it, like I'm making up a fake person, but this isn't a fake person. This persona encapsulate a whole section of your audience, of your potential customers and your current customers. So I even have a little saying that she said, "I'm so busy these days." Very Paris Hilton. So she's a woman. She has a master's. She's an accountant. She makes quite a lot of money. She's engaged. She lives in Toronto. I put in a personality. She's quite picky, analytical. She's in the middle of introvert and extrovert. She's a bit passive, not that active. So some of her goals, she wants to look professional in the workplace, avoid having to drive or take transit. She wants to save time, make the best of her personal time. Frustration, she doesn't like that stores are closed on weekdays by the time she's done with work. Shopping in store takes a long time, long shipping times. And then I also have a bio here for her. Moving up in her career, she lives downtown. She gets dinner through Uber Eats. And I'm sure you're wondering this is for a fashion brand. What does Uber Eats have to do with anything? Just like your direct competitors are not the only things you're competing with. Also, the brands that a person uses and the way a person interacts with other brands is a lot of insights for how they might interact with your brand. So I have some other things here, like preferred channels, her motivations. And motivations is a big one because that tells you how you can market to her or him. And then I have some other brands that she uses. And this was all based off of, I think I did about 10 to 15 interviews. And this was a subsection of about 5 people out of those. So like 5 people answered my questions similarly in the same way. And I made this, they were all kind of, I'm busy. I don't like going to, I think I was one of these people. I don't like going to stores. Stores like freak me out, like I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. So all these people, like they answered around the same realm. So I made this customer persona for them, if that makes sense. So we have another exercise. I hope you have your pen and paper. So I'm gonna do this one with you guys. We're gonna build a customer persona for an online eyewear glasses brand. I don't wear glasses yet. Probably will. Everyone in my family does, like all the older people. So it's coming in my future. So I'm gonna say I'll give us I think 7 minutes. I'm gonna put a timer. I think 7 minutes, just quickly. Doesn't have to be anything that, overly expressive, but if you can think of, and obviously, we don't have time to interview anyone today. I'll take a survey. So think of a friend, family member, yourself that would want glasses and build out that persona based on that. And yeah, I'm gonna start a timer. I already apologize for when this timer goes off and scares us all. For 7 minutes. I'm gonna do it with you guys, okay?
Angela, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when trying to find out your audience persona, is this something that you can also do on social media? If yes, how do you do that?
So I wouldn't advise, you can do it through social media through like surveys. So sending out surveys to your customer base or to friends and family or acquaintances, or just, having it go out as far as possible. But I will say some of the best insights you get is when you do want like interviews. And sorry, I don't know if I mentioned, but with interviews and surveys, you don't need to have like a huge pool. You don't need to reach 300 people. If you have max 20 people, that will give you a lot of insights. And then on that, you can continue to build, try out things. Okay, I've built this customer persona based on the 20 interviews I did. I tried this out and it works. So I know this persona is out there and I continue to build with that. It doesn't work. So I go back, do some more interviews, tweak things. So yeah, you can definitely do it through like surveys and interacting with your customer base, but there is something to be said about doing like interviews. But typically I see people do like a combination of both. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. I just wanted to, this is for my own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a good amount of social media following.
Mm-hmm.
And my followers are not patient. What I mean by that is if I send them surveys, they will not complete it. They're lazy, period. So I want to know my audience.
Mm-hmm.
Visual. They don't have patience to be interviewed or read long posts.
Yeah.
How do I go about, because I feel like I have diverse audience. Like I have people in their 60s and 50s on my Facebook.
Mm-hmm. So one way to go about that, like I'm gonna go into this a little bit more later, but one way to go about that is, the people that interact with you and engage with you the most. So the people that are commenting, the people that are sending you DMs, the people that are liking everything or sharing your posts. You like us all, we see those names all the time. Reach out to those people because they already care about engaging with your content. So they are more than likely to be okay with, and when with surveys, please everyone, never make your survey more than like a minute, 2 minutes long. A minute is kind of the sweet spot because like you mentioned, no one has patience, and to be frank, no one cares. So to answer that question, reach out to the people that are already engaging with you because they're more than likely to be all right with a quick interview or a quick survey. I'm going to go into that a little bit more later, how you can identify some of those people, but a quick way to do it is just looking at people that just comment, the people that like, the people that share your posts. That's a good way to go about it.
Thank you.
Of course. I hope everyone is doing the exercise. I'm watching. All right, so we have like 2 more minutes, and then I will share what I have, and then if anyone wants to share in the chat what they have as well, that would be great. Oh, and if anyone wants to just see this again, this might help you a little bit. I'll toggle between the two so you can see both. All right. Okay, we have 1 minute. I'll give you guys 1 minute. Ooh, Audrey coming with the fire.
A message on our WhatsApp group.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll keep that in mind for later. All right, so I'm gonna share mine, and then I see that Audrey put in hers. So my customer persona is the fashionista. Her name is Nadia. She's a PR assistant. She makes 40K. She lives in New York. Her goals is to look stylish at work. Her frustrations is that she can't find affordable fashion forward eyeglasses or fashion forward pieces. And then some of her motivations are partying, looking good on Instagram, and vacations. So I'm gonna read out Audrey's, if you don't mind. So her customer persona is elderly. Her name is Jane McGuire. I like that name. She's retired. She's living on investments. Her goal is to make beautiful eyewear designs for the middle-aged and older. Her frustrations are the monotonous look of prescribed glasses. I feel her on that. And then her motivation is looking beautiful while wearing her eyewear. So the reason why I wanted you guys to, I don't know if anyone else is sharing. Hey, no. The reason, okay, Folake shared hers. Shade, she's a college student, lives in the US. Her income is from a campus job and allowance. Her goal is to stand out with her look. A frustration of hers is imperfection, and motivation is oppression. Oppressor? I feel like I know what that means, so I'm gonna work with it. So the reason why I wanted you guys to do this exercise is this is one of the key things I think you have to do when looking at your social media or your marketing in any kind of way. Because if you don't understand your customer base, you're just going to be shooting out in the dark with what you think they want to hear. And just like in life, what you think people want to hear is not always the case. So you need to do this. And it doesn't have to be something that's arduous. It doesn't have to be something that takes too much of your time. Like I said, you can even do 5 to 6 interviews and build off of that. You know, like I'm going to reiterate this a lot. Start small and build. It doesn't have to be some big granular thing. I think a lot of the times we think we have to go big or go home. But with digital marketing, I would say the opposite. Start small and build from that. That's where you're really going to gain a lot of insights. All right. So, and this is just, hopefully we can share this with everyone so you can have this template, but you can Google search. There's so many different ways you can build out a customer persona. It's up to you what you want to add into it, but this is just some of like the basics, and that would kind of help you build that group. And then you have 3 groups. You map out, okay, this is my most important customer persona. Most of my content needs to be targeting this person. So for example, so we have elderly, we have a college student, and we have the fashionista. If I, based on who I am, was building this brand, my first, my most important my customer will probably be the fashionista. So the content that I'm creating is going to be targeted to them. How, like, for example, that Warby Parker example I showed earlier with the glasses, with the moving heads, that's something that'll be targeted to like a fashionista, because it's showing how it wears on different people, and also like the fashion aspect of it. So that's how you have to kind of think about customer personas and have it be the building block for everything else to come. Right. Branding, my favorite parts. So your brand is how and why your customers choose you over your competitors. You can think of it as, like I said there, your company's personality. And in this day and age, you cannot get away with your company not having a personality. It has to have a personality. Social media, not only is social media for us humans, but it's social media for brands as well. Your brand has to have a voice. It has to have something saying It doesn't have to be something overly deep, it doesn't have to be something all that serious, but you have to be saying something. So, and that comes with personality. You're met that dry people that have no personality, and you're like, what are you saying? So it's something that's worth defining clearly. I would say everything in here is some things that are worth defining clearly, but this is something I think because, and it's funny, when people think of digital marketing, they only kind of think of branding, but even then they don't think of branding in the full, its fullness. They think of branding of, the colors, the logo. The logo is a big one people think about. I mean, logos are important, but not that important. What is really important is your tone of voice. How are you going to talk to people? How are you going to communicate with your audience? You could assume, like I said, that you could assume what your brand stands for, but the best way to check is by understanding what your ideal customers talk about your brand. Like, how do they talk about your brand? So, for example, if you already are a business owner, or you already are like in a career path and you're trying to become kind of like best in class, or like a figure in that industry, or whatever it is that you're doing, you already have people that are following you. You already have people that are engaging with your brand. Talk to them. What do they think of your brand? What do they think your brand stands for? Because what you might be putting out there now, you might think, oh, everyone thinks that my brand is this really eco-friendly, serious about the environment brand. And then you talk to them and they're like, oh, like, I think of your brand as like, the fun, sarcastic brand that has all the jokes, because maybe that's just how your personality is and it's come across that way. So you need to, again, and this all comes in with, surveying and interviewing your existing customers, as well as, ideal customers, but your existing customers as well, to really understand how they think of your brand. And even with ideal customers, or customers you don't have already, you can show them your brand and be like, what do you think of this? And without any biases, try not to put in your own bias, just ask them plainly, what do you think of this? And based on what they say, that can help you kind of formulate your branding. And again, this is never too late. I'm going to have an example later. I'm going to get to your question in a second. I'm going to have an example later of how your brand also doesn't need to be static. It can always change. It can always move. And then, so I have a question here from Oye. Can a new retail store sound inspirational using quotes? Would that distract from the main aim of the social media post page? That should be your main aim. If that's what your brand is your brand is inspirational, it should show through in every single thing that you do. Don't feel like there's one set way of using social media, or there's one set way of communicating. If your brand and your customers have told you that your brand is an inspirational brand, that's the way that you should communicate with them. On social media, it doesn't distract. I have some examples that I'll show you. In fact, all the brands that are doing the best, their branding and their social media, their marketing has absolutely nothing to do with the actual product. And I'll go through the examples that I even have on screen right now. But so branding driven storytelling, your brand should also, it has to tell a clear story, and that's part of the content marketing as well. Like that clear story, I see you, I understand you, bam, boom. So examples that I have here. So we have Propocon, it's a popcorn brand. They're really tongue-in-cheek, fun. I know that when I go to their page, I'm going to see something funny, something out of the box. Recess, it's a sparkling water brand, and their whole ethos is really relaxing and taking a break. And what they've done is that they've personified their product. So every single post that you see on their brand, on their pages and on their website as well, their product, they pretend like their product is a human being. So that's their branding. Everlane, so the one that says used once, worn forever, their whole brand is ethical and clean. And that's a good example of what I mean by, they're selling clothes. And that doesn't really, like, the environment, if you think about it from that view, what does that really have to do with clothes? It does have everything to do with clothes, but most people don't think of it that way. But with them, they have decided that their brand, yes, we sell clothes, but their brand is about selling ethical clothes. So that's the story that they tell. Wealth Simple, that's an investment platform. I think it's just in North America, but their whole thing is simple and easy. One of their other taglines is investing on autopilot, which I think is a great tagline. I love a good tagline. It gets me very, very excited. One day I'm hoping to make like a perfect tagline. Like I have some other examples of like great taglines. And then I have another one there, Crave Beauty, the Hallelujah. So theirs is puns, like clean, approachable, like talking to your friend. So your branding, like you can see, like with the sparkling water, like personifying the sparkling water, that has absolutely nothing to do with the taste of the sparkling water. Absolutely nothing. So your branding is really just the message you want to communicate. It doesn't have to do, even with the popcorn, what does popcorn have to do with being silly and fun? It's just popcorn. So don't feel like you have to put yourself in a box just based on what the product or the service that you're delivering to your audience. And a few tips that I have here, your ideal customer's view of the brand should be the driving factor, like I said, so talk to them. Like I said before, make your branding clear, but not too restrictive. All right. So questions to ask yourself to define your brand. I'll just go through this quickly. What problems do you solve? So think through your value. What value are you bringing here? Please think about your value and your value proposition. So distinct benefits is your value proposition. So value proposition just basically means, what do I have that my customers don't have? And sometimes it could be your branding. Your value proposition could be your branding, because there's no way to differentiate yourself in that market, because that market is so saturated and there's really nothing else. So it could be your branding, or it could be some kind of technology that you have, or it could be that your products are formulated differently, or they're made differently, or they're made in Australia instead of being made in China. Like whatever is distinctive and you think will resonate with your audience is your value proposition. So you really need to think through that. What is your brand promise? What are you promising to your customers? So with Everlane, with the ethical clothing line, their brand promise is to be ethical and to be, I have a deeper example with them later, but so that's their brand promise. So they have to keep that up. Make sure you can keep up your brand promise, because people will be very angry with you. So if you can't. So, and what will you always do for your customers? With that, it's just, again, a continuous trust. And with all of those, you answer all of those questions, and then you create a single paragraph with all these answers, and that is your unique message. And then you take that unique, I have examples coming, don't worry. You take that unique message and shorten it to one clear line. That's your tagline, that is your branding, and that is everything. When people look at that, they should know exactly what your product or your service is about, what you are about. If you're marketing yourself, it needs to be clear, it needs to be simple. I haven't even with marketing myself, I haven't even gone to the point of having that one clear line. I really need to work on that. But let me go into examples. So I've talked about Everlane quite a lot, so I'm just going to read what their paragraph was. So at Everlane, we want the right choice to be as easy as putting on a great t-shirt. That's why we partner with the best ethical factories around the world, source only the finest materials, and share those stories with you, down to the true cost of every product we make. It's the new way of doing things. We call it radical transparency. And then their one line, beautiful tagline is radical transparency. And that's everywhere. I think I bought something from them, and then it's there, it's on their social media. I think they've changed it now, but at the beginning, this is what it was. It's everywhere on their website, every single touch point that is hitting consumers, you're getting that. It shows, like I said, all the collateral, all the touch points. So this used once, worn forever. That's an ad that they did on their social media. And And then the transparent pricing, that's just on their website. So it's everywhere on their website. So again, they're carrying through that thread or that radical transparency. So when people see that, they know exactly what the brand is about. I'm sure you might be thinking to yourself, but I'll see that and I wouldn't know that they sell clothes. That's not the point. You're gonna see it with, you know, with collateral that's relative to what they actually sell. And you know, well smart, we put two and two together. And that's how it works. Again, you're not shouting at people, you're building trust. Then another example, one of my favorites, Glossier. So for everyone, I know you're looking at this Glossier skincare brand, makeup brand. Why should I care? This is one of the most radically changed, like the work that they have done in the marketing space and the beauty space. Every single person I think needs to read up on Glossier, because they really, it's a masterpiece of listening to your consumers, you know, building a community through conversation, shared interest, and bringing value. Their customer first approach is one that should be studied, I think, regardless of the industry, whatever industry you're at. Like even people in my finance world refer to Glossier. There's absolutely nothing in terms of industry in common with the beauty world and finance, but that's how good they are or have been at what they do. And they changed, and they're a new company. They came out, I want to say 2014, 2015. And now they're one of the top brands, rivaling like the old beauty brands, like the L'Oreals and the Estee Lauder. I think that's under L'Oreal now. But you know, the older brands, this is a new brand that's rivaling that. And that's through digital marketing. They did it all through digital marketing. So I would encourage you, if there's any brand that you look into after this presentation, I would say look into Glossier, look into their marketing, and see how they built that community. So their branding example is skin first, makeup second. I think this is the best tagline I've ever seen in my life. It makes me so excited because you see that, you know exactly what you're getting. You know that it's a skin focused brand. You're gonna get, you know, my skin but better. That's what you're gonna get from the brand. You want to see a tagline and the person immediately gets, okay, that's what my brand is about. And that's what branding is. And the reason why you need it to be short and sweet, because we know there's an attention deficit. No one is looking at anything more than at most 8 seconds. So they need to look at it and digest it quickly. I put a few resources there to kind of read up on Glossier, because I think, honestly, I implore everyone, no matter your industry, to look into Glossier. They have done quite an amazing job. I don't know if you guys remember that millennial pink was like the color of the year in 2016. They were one of the driving factors of that. That's how much of an explosion they were. All right, let's keep it pushing. So the reason why I put in this second example of Glossier is, like I said before, your branding doesn't have to be static. So I'm not going to read like the whole paragraph, but this is just a paragraph on kind of like their new branding. So this is their newer stuff. And they took all of this and they shortened it into democratize beauty. So they still have their skin first, makeup better, but then they evolve. Like you evolve with your customers, you evolve with the world and what your customers want. So customers, of course, still want the skin first, beauty, you know, second thing, but they also want to be part of the conversation. And that's where democratize beauty comes into play. So their current iteration of their brand, yeah, so this is just an example. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's quite cumbersome, but just a quick example. So another thing to keep in mind is competitive analysis. So your competition is not just who offer a like-for-like product or service. So it's not just, for the eyeglass company, it's not just the other eyeglass company across the street. There are 3 branches of it, basically. So direct, they offer the same as you. Indirect, they offer products that they're different, but they compete in the same space. So for example, I have an example in the next one for you guys, so you can kind of visualize this. And then comparators. So similar branding, they kind of look like you, feel like you. They might not sell anything even remotely close to you, but because your customers are looking, you got your branding from what your customers are saying. So obviously your customers are also interested in that similar branding. And then it could also mean that, a brand that your customers use frequently, sorry. And then a resource I have here is Alexa, and I think it's built by Amazon actually, and it's not their Alexa speakers, but it's a competitive analysis tool that you can take a look at. You don't necessarily have to use it. Other ways, free, I think you have to pay for Alexa, I'm not too sure. Free ways to get your competitive analysis. Again, start with your customers, ask them. What, if you're a toothpaste company, what other toothpaste do you use? What toothpaste do you use right now? What's your favorite toothpaste? Ask them these questions. It could be through social media, it could be through a survey, it could be through, like I mentioned earlier, with the customers that engage with you a lot, so already are interested in your brand and interested in talking with you. So ask them these questions, and that's how you find out your competitors. Another one is to search keywords. So the same keywords that you use for your brand, search that, see what comes up, and you see a lot of your competitors as well. Try them out. Trying them out will help you form more of a understanding of your value prop, where you can do better, what you don't want to take from them, what you do want to take from them. Because let's be real, that's part of business. You see something you like and you want to take it from them, but make it your own. Another big thing that you should do is note where and when you interact with them. So what I mean by that is, if you see them on ads on Instagram, but you don't see them on ads on Facebook, there might be a reason for that. They might have some insights that their market is in Instagram. So you need to look into, okay, if we are competing for the same market, that means my market is probably in Instagram. So you need to obviously do your additional research, but that's like a great touch point to how to work with your competitors. And I say work with because it is a symbiotic relationship, even though they don't know it. So try and mirror what they do with your own researchers, of course. Yeah, so I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to keep it with Glossier.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you spoke about branding, and I just kind of wanted to get an idea, because some of us don't have products, we have services.
That's still a product.
Okay, for example, I personally believe that every professional individually, their brands.
Mm-hmm.
And how you market yourself or present yourself as a professional also determine your value proposition.
Yeah.
So maybe for example, on LinkedIn,
mm-hmm.
do you have suggestions for professionals here on how do we increase our value proposition based on you looking at us as a brand?
Mm-hmm.
What should we do to get better at really opting our game in terms of value proposition? My second thing is on the fact that I'm a coach. I'm a career coach. I'm a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And, I use social media a lot for my branding. Are some of those rules also applicable to someone who is just a proprietary? They run their own businesses, they're selling a service to people. Are those rules still apply? So there are two questions there, personally for me, and the other one for professionals who just feel like they're not a brand, and that is really affecting their value proposition.
Okay, so I'll answer the second question first, and I have terrible memory, so you might have to remind me of the first one. But with the second one, I really need everyone to understand that every UI brand, just as is, a brand is, like I said before, is a personality. So as a human, you're already a brand. It does get a little iffy thinking of yourself as a brand sometimes, but you are a brand. As a sole proprietor, all these tactics are things that I've used as a sole proprietor. So it works for everyone. Like I said, it can be scaled up, scaled down. On that as well, I would say, I feel a lot of people get stuck on the word product, and they feel like product has to be something physical. It doesn't. So a service is a product. Like your service is a product. So you have to treat it like a product and think of it like a product. And I think once you can train your mind to really think of it like that way, then you can really start to gain real insights from your market. And then on the first question with LinkedIn, can you remind me what the question was again, just so I can give the best answer?
I just used LinkedIn as an example. I said all professionals, individually, we are all brands, but it doesn't course of us that we're brands. So for that reason, we're not annexing or we're not maximizing our value proposition because we're not presenting ourselves as brands, right? Do you have advice for us on how do we position our careers? How do we position as professional? Because LinkedIn is a marketplace, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Properly positioned so that we can get better value for our skill sets, our experiences, and our knowledge.
So something like that is an interesting one because defining your value prop, I would say, is even easier because your value prop in that is your experience, and your experience is very specific to you. For example, I went to school at U of T, I worked in this and this and this and that. That's very specific to me. And I can take that and take that as my branding message. And then my branding, and then looking at your, not competitors, but looking at other people in that space or in your industry, what are they talking about and how can you differentiate yourself from them? I think that's the key thing to, as a professional, to marketing yourself as a brand, is looking at what other people are doing and how can you differentiate. And I think you'll realize how much easier it is because just your experience alone is very specific to you. So it's already differentiating you. And again, it's going back to write that all down, answer those questions that I had in the slide earlier, make that paragraph about yourself, and then take one line, and that's your brand as a person. And then you build on that in how you communicate. So you drive home that brand with every communication you're sending out on LinkedIn, you're sending out on Facebook, you're sending out to emails. I think those are a few things you can do as a professional to really help craft that brand. I hope that answered the question.
Yes. Do you think a professional needs like a brand promise?
It depends on what you're trying to achieve. So with a brand promise, I would say anyone that's trying to have any kind of conversion, and conversion can mean someone buying products from you, people engaging with you, people buying your, like coming to your seminars or your talks. Those are all conversions. And if you're looking in this day and age, you need to have a brand promise. And I feel from what I see on LinkedIn, almost most people have some sort of brand promise, whether it's women empowerment, whether it's helping people upskill, whatever it could be, you need to have some sort of brand promise. So definitely, I think that's one of the great things about digital marketing is that all the tenets kind of work for everyone and in every kind of industry. And I would say this whole presentation is not industry specific. Like all my examples are quite specific to what I interact with the most, but this works for every single industry. I use it in the finance industry, which is completely different to like. And before this, I worked for Chevrolet. So while I was working at my agency, my main client was Chevrolet and General Motors. Same tactics for cars, completely different market. Completely different market. So all these things are the same things that we've used every single industry. So it's all about making it work for you. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. All right. So I have an example on competitive analysis. So I'm just going to go through this quickly. So with a direct, so Milk Makeup, they do pretty much the same products and the same services as well, because they do have services. And then an indirect one is Way, their hair care brand, not in skin and not in skin and makeup, but the same space, competing for the same people because it's the same, kind of branding ethos and whatnot. And then comparators, I have Midjouri, which is a jewelry company. Again, completely different branding. Products, but the branding and the ethos is similar. So that can just kind of give you like a mental of how to look at your competitors and how everyone is your competitor if they're similar enough. It doesn't have to be the same product or service. You can look at where are your customers going to, those are your competitors. All right, so tracking is one of the most important and integral parts of marketing. You need to make sure you're not just doing things for doing things' sake. You need to try, like I said, start small. So try things out. If they work, you know if they work from tracking. If they don't work, tweak it, try something else. And that's the thing about social media. It is difficult, especially when, like I said, I worked for a startup, so I know what it means to just be one person doing everything. That was pretty much how it was. So it can be quite difficult, but I have some tools later that'll show you, like help you kind of, organize yourself and make things a little bit easier on being, always on. But yeah, tracking is a big thing, measuring, and it all comes from your goal. Once you have your goal, I have to track this goal. I need to meet it. If I don't meet it, I need to tweak it to meet it. So KPIs are measurable values that you can track in order to measure your progress towards a defined goal within your marketing channels. So examples of that, like revenue growth, site traffic, cost associated by leads. So how much does it cost you? How much does it cost you to get a customer or to get a lead? So those are some of the KPIs that you can look at. And metrics are different. I want to make this very clear, are different from KPIs. Metrics simply track the status of a specific business process. So your engagement, impressions, likes, although please, likes are not, they're not the best to track. I would say things like engagement is a key. Like you can have a lot of followers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen someone that has a lot of followers and has 2 comments. That's not going to do anything for them. What you need is engagement. So you can adjust your plan based on what gets the best reaction. Like I said, engagement is where the real insights are. So don't focus too much on views and vanity metrics like that. Engagement is where conversions, because if they're engaged, that means they're more than likely to buy your product or interact with you or go to your webinar or read your article or whatever it might be. So KPIs are used to determine whether you're spending your budget in the right areas. KPIs must be based on legitimate data gathered during your marketing campaigns. So based on, and how you start off with this is just start tracking stuff. So pick engagement. Most of the social media platforms, your website, or whatever it's built on, I'm going to go into that a little later. Those all help you, have tools to help you with simple tracking. And that's really all you need to start off with. You don't need anything really complicated. You just need simple, to the point, get some metrics to feed into your KPIs. And then a key performance indicator of an organization is not the same as the goals. So your goals are up here and your KPIs feed into your goals. So for an example, you have a technology company and you might have a goal of improving awareness of your brand in a specific location. So however, your KPI there will be things like website traffic, social media engagement, followers, online engagement. And then one thing to know, and this is where it can get kind of confused, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit more, is that KPIs can be metrics, but metrics cannot be KPIs. So if you notice, I said a KPI could be online engagement, which is fine, but your metric can never be a KPI. So your metric can never be goal-based. It's just you tracking the process. So you're tracking how many people like this, that's the metric. But a KPI is revenue growth. So these amount of people like this, and then they convert it to buy, and that's my revenue growth. So I reached that KPI of revenue growth of 10%. So an example I have here of a KPI that feeds into a metric. And the reason why I have arrows flowing back and forth, because I just want to make it clear that they feed into each other. So site traffic, and then the metric you will use to like to track that would be like unique visits to your website. Almost think of it like a metric is a measurement of your KPI in some cases, and then a KPI can be a metric, but I feel like that might be confusing. But yeah, so basically a metric is a measurement of your KPI in most cases. So analytics is a beast of a topic. I don't even think I can begin to do justice to it in one day, talk less of hours. So I've put some reading material in here that can really get you started. I think with analytics, what helped me was reading quite a lot about it and then trying with small things, seeing how that worked, and then building from there. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Metrics are like the PIs. What are PIs? If you don't mind typing what PIs are, like the full name. I'm really bad with acronyms. Oh, it might not be used in my industry. That's another thing. There are quite a lot of acronyms around. So some are used in my industry, some might not be. Point indicators. Yeah, that's not used in my industry, but point indicators. I'm going to say tentative performance indicators. Yeah. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are the same. So the key thing to remember here is track to discover insights into what you're working on, or what is working, sorry. And then with everything else, start small and build as you understand. Oh, thanks everyone. So yeah, I put these resources in there. So when you guys get a chance to have this presentation, please read through them to have a better understanding and how to start with your KPIs and tracking and measuring. So digital marketing 101, I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention really quickly. The 3 things you really need to think about when interacting with your audience. These 3 key things is you need to attract them, so earn people's attention. And I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it doesn't come intuitively to us just based on how we have been marketed to in the past and what we're used to. We're used to the ads, we're used to the TV ads, you know, the radio ads, people screaming and shouting, well, not screaming, but, you know, telling us. So it doesn't come as intuitively to us to be consumer first rather than product first. So you need to earn people's attention through, again, educative or entertaining, or both content. Don't force it, please. Attract visitors with useful content and eliminate barriers as they try to learn about your company. So, you know, make sure your website is easy to navigate, make sure your social media is easy to find. I'm going to go into those things in a few. A few things under attracting, you know, keywords, SEO, so search engine optimization, paid search ads, engaging. You need to form a good relationship with your prospects. So you have them, you've attracted them, conversation. I see brands with social media, especially, I see brands make this mistake a lot, and people make this mistake a lot. People comment, you don't reply. People DM you, you don't reply on time. Always have conversations, ask people questions, use all the features. There's a reason why all those polls, all those question tags are there on Instagram and Facebook, because they know that that's how people want to interact with their friends and with brands. So make sure you're always engaged and engaging with them. That's the key. Don't just throw things out there. Don't use social media in the same way you would use like a TV ad. Just put something pretty, leave it there, and then you're not talking to anyone or having a conversation and building that community. So enable buyers to engage with you on their preferred timeline and channels. So I'm going to go into this again, but pay attention to where your customers actually are. For example, with my job, my customers aren't on Instagram. They are, but that's not where they want to be talked to about finance in the way that we talk about finance. So our high net worth, we focus mostly on LinkedIn, Twitter, and then Facebook, but mostly LinkedIn. So because you can really target, because we're looking for a specific tax bracket, we can really target them there, because you can target them based on, you know, their job, their position, where they work, and so on and so forth. And then the last thing is delight. So your wins should be your customers' wins as well. So whenever invest back into them, give them, if it's discount codes or if it's a free session or whatever you can do once in a while, doesn't have to be constant, once in a while, to tie your success back to your customers. You know, shift those resources to be distributed as effectively as possible throughout the entire customer experience. So make sure you're always feeding back into the customer experience, because that's what is really going to set you apart in this day and age. And then another thing to note is that trust is at an all-time low. So think about how you think about brands now. People don't have the same trust with brands that they used to have. Like, even think about a brand like Coca-Cola. Like, people trusted Coca-Cola, like it's Coke. Now people don't really care for it, don't really trust it as a brand. And that just goes to show that there's a change in times. But the one thing that always remains is that everyone trusts their peers, you know, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your family members, you trust them. So when you think about digital marketing, you want to consider how you're turning these strangers and people that don't know you, don't know your brand, you're turning them into advocates for your brand. And that's through their customer experience and through how you engage with them and delight them. And then they're like, oh, I want to tell my friend about this. I want to tell this so and so and so about this. So you really need to do this, and you do this by delivering relevant, helpful, value content and a great customer experience. Okay. So these are the things I'm going to cover quickly.
I want to tell the audience that I put the link to our mailing list in the comment section. If this is the first time you're attending a masterclass and you're not on the mailing list and you're interested in receiving this slides that Angela is going to provide us, please fill in your information into the mailing list so that we won't miss you when we send out notifications with this information and other subsequent webinar information. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. So yeah, these are some of the key techniques I'm going to go over today. And also keep in mind, these are not all the techniques in digital marketing. These are just some of the key ones. So search engine optimization. So you have your website, you've built it. Again, I'll go into some tools to help you build a website if you haven't built one yet, or make your website better later. But you've built your website, you have to make sure people can find it. People don't go past the first page of Google mostly. I must be really in need to go past the first page of Google. So one of the best ways to reach new customers is to make sure your site's appearing when your customers are searching. Like we said, this model inbound marketing, people are looking for you, but they have to be able to find you. So that's where search engine optimization, or SEO, comes into play. Optimizing your site in the right way to improve your rank. And then when people search for terms related to you, you come up. So I put some resources there that you guys will be able to, and then also Google accounts for 90% of all searches. So Bing and all of those. And then, so the two things that search engines analyze are relevancy and authority. So with relevancy, that's between the search query and the content on your page. They assess and various factors like topics, keywords. So for example, if I search eyeglasses, like with the search that I did with Warby Parker, eyeglasses in Toronto, eyeglasses, Toronto, all came up on their site. So they had optimized that to make sure that keyword shows up as many times as possible on their site. And it's easier to do than you might think. A lot of the website building platforms make it really easy for you to do great SEO. Authority covers a website's popularity on the internet. So it's kind of like a catch-all, like which comes first, egg or chicken, but like, so Google assumes that the more popular pages or resources, the more valuable it is to readers. So a way to kind of piggyback on this is to make sure that, if possible, that other people are tagging to your website. Having your website features on articles. It doesn't have to be New York Times. It could be someone's blog post on Medium. Having them tag to your website can be really helpful. Yeah, so you have created all this great content for your website. How do you ensure that people are seeing it? SEO, please. SEO, sorry, is very important. Very important. So a few things to keep in mind. It has to be relevant, easy to read. So your description tags on your pictures and your videos, they have to be easy to read. Make sure you have description tags on your pictures. I think that's one thing a lot of people miss. With relevant, commonly used words in your product. Like, again, search for your competitors. If there's a word that all your competitors have, you should have it, because that means that that's the word that people are searching. Look at what the first hit for your product or your service is on Google. Take the words they're using and put it into your website and also your social media. Credible, engaging with other sites, like I said, link them. If you can find people to link to your website, that would be great to add to your credibility. Make sure you're honest. So like I said that having keywords is key, like it's how Google finds you, having those words that hit. But don't, for example, have a page that's on shoes and then you're just hiding keywords that have to do with another product in your brand, just so you have SEO. So Google actually reads that and they see that as you being dishonest because you're not honest about what is actually on your page, and that will bring down your SEO ranking. So please be honest. Don't try and circumvent the system. They are smarter than us. There's a reason why all the smart people work at Google. So easy to navigate. Make sure clear navigation. Everything is logical, makes sense. Where it says the home button, that's where the home button is. Oops, sorry. Go back. Accurate, no spelling mistakes. Like in life, spelling mistakes matter on your website. And make sure it's actually mobile friendly, or if possible, build for mobile, because think about how you use or how you interact with your daily life. More likely than not, you check a lot of things on your phone. So optimize for mobile as much as you can. And please, don't hide keywords. That's something I think people do a lot. Like I mentioned, they see it as deception, and it's also not good user experience. So it's not good for your users either. All right, going into user experience. This is another, so I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys. Hopefully you can all get this and then you can go through this at your own speed and go through the resources as well. But these are just some really key things to keep in mind when thinking of digital marketing. So user experience, your website is your chance to show off exactly what your brand is all about and connect to your customers on your home turf. Here's where you want your customers to go for information, helpful content, and to buy your product or to whatever your product or service is. Your conversion rate is the number of visitors to your site that ends up converting into leads or acquisitions. And then thinking about user experience when you're putting your site together means that you can help your visitors find you. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to find what they're looking for. The cleaner your website, the better. So for example, if they want to sign up for a newsletter, it should be clear where that happens. It should be easy to find. And another thing that I'll add on user experience is it's an ongoing process. It's always happening, always continuous. You're always tweaking, you're always changing. So don't feel like you have to get it right just on the bat. Just always continuing. And your website can't be still, it has to be relevant. So you continuously work on that. And especially for smaller businesses, the simpler you make your website, the better for you. And I'm sure you can go back to my presentation and see a lot of bad UX and UI. All right. So the basics that I covered, I'll just go over them really quickly again. update your content, make sure it's relevant, test your website speed. There are sites that are free online that you just put in your website and it tells you how fast it loads up. So as quickly as possible, your site will load, because people, again, attention deficit. Ensure your call to actions, like your newsletter sign up, buy buttons, should be clear and well designed. And your screen should also automatically resize for smaller screens. So again, mobile first or iPad. If your website isn't fluid, it's not going to show up well. It's not going to be a good user experience. It's also not going to show up well on Google search. So SEO, again, it actually makes a difference. And then, like I said, the simpler, the better. I know we all want very elaborate things, but especially even with the trends of right now, people want simple. That's just, and then, like I said, every second counts when it comes to your website. So make it as easy as possible. It's better to have, I want to make this clear, it's better to have less functionality or simpler design in order to keep your pages loading quickly. If that video is making your page load slow, please get rid of it. It's not worth it. It's going to cause more harm than good, just because you like the video. So an example I have here of good user experience, this is a brand called Frank and Oak. They are, and a lot of the brands that I'm talking about today, they started out as like small startup brands. So yeah, I'm not talking about like the Nikes or the Adidas or, you know, the really big brands. These all started as two people in a garage. So yeah, so Frank and Oak is a brand here in North America, and a few things about their website: easy, clear navigation, shop now, log in, sign up. And you would think that these are things that show up on every website, but they really don't. Like, make it as easy and clear as for your users as possible. Clear line of sight. The checkout process, as you can see on the right there, is clearly designated. So everything, your email, first name, everything is clear. And then the branding is effective and clear. So you see the branding, like their branding immediately. And then this is just an example I have of bad UX. If you see here, to pick on Don't Insure Me on Ryanair, you have to go through all these countries. That makes absolutely no sense. So if I was on their site and I was trying to look, and they did this on purpose, so you pay for insurance without knowing, and that's deceptive and bad user experience, and you could lose customers that way. So it's a confusing list, it's not clear, and that's a problem. And it can actually lead to lack of trust and brand erosion. So please don't do that. What app can you use to check site speed? I'll double check that for you during like the question and answer, but literally if you just Google it, it comes up. Like a bunch of them just come up and you can check it. But I'll check that for you and I'll get back to you in a sec. All right, so another exercise. I hope everyone is still with me. So I want you to look at all of these and let me know which ones you think are good UX, like a good user experience, and which one you think are not. And I'm gonna give you guys like 2 minutes. I think you can kind of tell. There's like one confusing one, but like, actually there are 2 confusing ones, but I'm giving too much away. I think Uchi will be able to answer if this is recorded, but I believe it is, but don't quote me on that. And please don't call me ma'am. I'm I'm joking. I haven't heard that in a while. Okay. I like your answer, Oye. I like yours, Ijama. Anyone else? Shay, what do you think 2 is? You just said 2. And Oye said 2 is confusing UX, okay? All right, I'll give you guys 30 more seconds. Anyone that wants to put in their answers. And if you're answering, make sure you're putting it to all panelists so that I can see it. 2 and 3 are bad. Okay. Thanks, Chika. All right, so I'll just go through this real quick. 1, beautiful. Easy to navigate, clean. Chef's kiss. 2, I don't know where to click. Where do I click? So that's confusing. And I've literally done this. I've gone to a site. I don't understand anything. I click off. I don't have time. It's really not that deep or that serious to buy it. So I just click off. 3, I can't see. Yes, it's beautiful design. Again, don't let design get in the way of your user experience. Just because you think something looks so beautiful doesn't mean it's right for your users. So that's 2 confusing. 4 is a trick one. So with Dom Perignon, you go on their site, you would think, okay, this is all right UX. If I went on their site and I didn't know what Dom Perignon is, I would think this was Lenny Kravitz's site. So Lenny Kravitz is a singer, an artist. I would think that this is his site. So this is not good user experience because it's brand erosion. So you need to make sure that it's clear what your brand is. Even if you do have like a celebrity or whatever, make sure it's clear what the brand is, because I have to squint and I'm like, oh, it's Dom Perignon. Well, is it? Or is it Lenny Kravitz and Dom Perignon? Or is it Dom Perignon and Lenny Kravitz? So 5 is another confusing one. It's kind of bad UX because it's not that great, like the white on the blue, but it's good UX in that their content is like it's branded. It's in their tone of voice. So again, there's a good branding on that, and that's part of user experience. Sorry. So that's kind of like a middle way one, but I'll say 2, 3, 4 are not good. You don't expect 4 is something people don't think about. You don't want people to come to your website and be confused as to what your brand is. All right. Social media marketing, where everyone loves. So I used to work primarily in social media marketing. I still do, because I work in digital marketing, but it's not my only focus anymore. So these are a few things to keep in mind. Distinct, consistent brand. So you've done the brand work. You know you need to listen to your audience. You need to carry that over to your social media. With the content, I like to use the rule of 3. This is just my rule. You don't have to use it. So I do content that you want. So content I want as a brand owner. Content that my audience responds to. So what do my audience want? And then experimental content. So trying out things that might be a complete flop, might go viral, people might love, people might hate, but trying it out. Testing it out. Test it out on your story before you put it on your feed. So stuff like that. So I like to use the rule of 3 for content creation, for what I'm going to create for that week or that month for my social media. Engage, like I've said before, I'm beating a dead horse, sorry. You're engaged to build a community. Please, please, please engage with people. Like in real life, people are only going to be your friend if you're engaging with them. And then call to action. Always have a call to action. Have something that you want people to do. So don't just put out the content, great content, but you're not telling them, buy this, email me about this. So make sure there's a call to action for what people should do. And then having a great social media presence is a prerequisite for marketing on social media. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but build that brand, and then your social media marketing can really, pick up. If you're already writing brilliant content, you're already writing blog posts, you're already writing articles, take some of that and put that into your social media and link it all together. All right, so I want to show you some great examples of social media. So I'm going to start with Glossier, again, Glossier, but I'm not even joking when I say please, please, please check them out. For everyone, even if you're a professional and you think, oh, this has nothing to do with me, you can learn from how they did it rather than what they're marketing. So with Glossier, if you look at this, so I took this screenshot of their Instagram, I believe. And that tweet is a tweet from a customer that they posted, and they said, and the tweet says, I'm dying to try Boy Brow. So Boy Brow is an eyebrow pencil, but I have red hair. Any chance of getting an urban shade sometime soon? So obviously that was posted a while back. Their next post is them announcing that they have an urban shade. And then the subsequent posts are all about that new launch product. Why is this great social media marketing? Because they are building a community that asks them and they listen, and they're showing it to the rest of the community that, look, if you ask, you might just receive. So it's building that communication, building that conversation, building that, look, we're here together, we're building this company together, we're building the products, and building products that you want, not just money grabs. And then another good one is Billy. So they are a shaving company, so hair removal. And their whole branding is, traditionally hair removal is very, everything has to be off, or you're not a lady. With them, it's very much, if you want to take it off, you take it off. If you want to take off your mustache, you take off your mustache. If you want to shave your armpits, you shave your armpits. You don't have to. You might shave it 1 week, you might not. So that's really what their branding is, and it's consistent throughout with their tone of voice, even with the Happy Movember. So Movember is, for anyone that doesn't know, is a campaign that happens in November for men. They don't shave their mustache. And here they kind of flipped it on their head they don't shave their mustache to raise money for cancer awareness. And here they kind of flipped it on their head that, women can participate too. You don't have to shave. So that's their branding. And it might sound a little confusing, like how is a shaving company telling people they don't have to shave? And that's just their brand message. And their brand message is, when you feel like, use us. When you don't have to. And it's just basically taking what the industry standard is, flipping it on its head, and delivering people with a new message. And people are eating it up. They're one of the fastest growing brands right now. All right. So really quickly, I just have some stats for you, for those who like stats. So I just took 4 of the bigger ones, social media platforms. Of course, there are other ones. There's Pinterest. People never think about Pinterest. There's Reddit. If you can ever infiltrate Reddit, you have a good thing going. It's very difficult. There's Twitter as well. Twitter is not the easiest for marketing, I'll be honest with you. Twitter is usually easier for when your brand is a little bit more established and you want to answer customer questions on there. That's what Twitter is good for. I don't really know any brand that's done well on Twitter, to be honest, outside from interacting with customers for questions or stuff like that. So Facebook has 2.2, and pay attention, there's a quiz coming after this. Not a quiz, but an exercise. So Facebook has 2.2 billion users. Their main key people are Gen X, so my parents, millennials, me. And then what Facebook is good for is brand awareness and advertising. So Instagram, 1 billion, millennials, so me, natural looking media, so all the stuff I just showed you, it looks like something you would post or something you would be interested in. It looks very it's very much, oh, my friend. That's what Instagram is. Behind the scenes, user generated content, like I mentioned again, and advertising. So that's what Instagram is good for. YouTube is good for brand awareness, entertainment, how-to videos. And if you can infiltrate YouTube is expensive, I would say. So for newer, for younger brands with not a lot of resources, I would say maybe don't focus that much on YouTube, because YouTube is quite expensive to create content on, or to even advertise on if you decide to do paid advertising. And then LinkedIn is another one that people don't really think of, as it's social media. You should market on LinkedIn. You should market on LinkedIn a lot. It is expensive to do paid, but in terms of organic, it can do really well if you're talking to your audience. And LinkedIn is one where it's very easy to gauge what your audience wants to talk about. So if you're a professional, really look into marketing on LinkedIn. And baby boomers, Gen X and millennials and Gen Z will be coming through soon with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of those evergreen platforms that everyone uses because everyone wants a job. So and yeah, so paid social is something I get asked about quite a lot. I would say before you go into paid social, you need to establish your social media. You need to establish your branding, your content, all those things that we talked about, your customer personas, your value prop, your message, your social media. Once you have all that down, then leverage what you already have, what you're already creating for paid social posts, and base it off of what you've been tracking and measuring. Where have you been getting the most organic engagement? And that's where you should start with your with your paid, like your paid social posts. I know sometimes people are like, oh, I have a lot of people following me on Facebook. I want to infiltrate Instagram. Start with your Facebook. Try it out on your Facebook first. And then when you really get it going with your paid social posts on Facebook, and it's like, okay, this is working for me, then you can go into other channels. Like I said, pick the right behavior, the right channel for your people. And then a few tips. Create a post around a new offer. That's a really good one to create a social post. So for example, if you're a professional and you're doing webinars or you're doing one-to-ones with people for coaching or stuff like that, if you have like a reduced rate or you have a new aspect to your coaching, make a paid post. If you're going to make a paid post, make it around that, because that's an incentive for people, like, oh, something cheaper or something exclusive or something like that. So look into that, or you can also use wording to make it seem like it's exclusive or it's new. Like I said, try out your offer. Try it out as an organic post. Now, organic post just means just posting it without any money or spend behind it. So try it out first, see how people, like your existing customer base and other people, interact with it. And if it's a good engagement, then you're like, okay, I need to turn this up a notch. And then start with simple image, and please don't feel like you need to go overboard and do like a carousel, huge ads or anything like that. All right, so really quickly, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me know your thoughts on what you think. I'm gonna give everyone like 2 minutes. What you think, you can pick 1 or 2 or whichever one you wanna do, is the best social media platform for this brand, based on like the quick explanation I've given here. I'm thinking through it as well with you. That's what I'm calling. So I'm gonna give a spoiler. The first one I feel like the best would be Facebook. And the reason why is like the last YouTube, I think YouTube will work too for anti-aging. Ethically made Instagram, yeah. Yeah, the Instagram people love that. Instagram, Facebook, yeah. Ooh, yeah, you guys are, yeah. I didn't think of that, but yeah, visuals would do really well on YouTube for anti-aging. I think also Facebook, because there's a marketplace for that anti-aging, that Gen X. So the Gen X are 55 up. They're on Facebook. Ooh, great answers, everyone. Fashion, Facebook and Instagram, yeah. Small investment company, LinkedIn, that'll be great. That's, for that kind of company, LinkedIn will be like the best. Okay, great answers, everyone. All right, we're gonna move it along. YouTube for movie promotion. Great answers, everyone. Thank you for interacting. All right, we're gonna go over email marketing. Email marketing works best to nurture your existing customers. It can be used to gain new customers, but it's more about like pouring back into your existing customers. So with newsletters, so these are just some of the examples of things you can send out as email marketing. So a newsletter, just inform them on new things. If you wrote an article, a couple of articles, you can make it into a newsletter, send it out. Seasonal emails, Merry Christmas. If it's their birthday, you can put it into a database. So the resource I have here is MailChimp. MailChimp is really good for email marketing. It makes it really easy. We use it right now at my company. We're transitioning from it just because, you know, we're getting bigger and stuff, but MailChimp is really good. And you have, so this example that I have right here, this was built on MailChimp. So she has her template down and she just needs to plug in the information. She has all her contacts in there. When they sign up through the link on her website, it automatically populates into her MailChimp, and MailChimp makes all of that easy. They have great customer service. So I would say MailChimp is a great one to look into for email marketing. So seasonal emails, it will make it even easier for you to send out a happy birthday like every month, and you just send to the people as their birthday happens. Exclusive offers, reminders, you know, remind people that, you know, their contract is expiring or whatever it is, and then announcements. So Collecting email subscribers, I would say, depends on the optimization of your digital marketing efforts. So make sure your blog, social media, your paid campaigns are driving to a landing page, so like your website, that is optimized for conversion. So make sure on your website there's somewhere where people can sign up for newsletter. Make sure there's somewhere people can always sign up for a newsletter, because that's one of the greatest touch points with your existing customers. Because I can tell you, even though with the brands that I actually care about, when they send me an email, I actually, like Sephora, I refuse to remove them from a spam, because I know there's going to be something someday that I want, so I keep them. So with the brands that people actually care about, and they should care about you, because again, you've built this world of community, they're going to want to engage. But also don't spam them. Don't send an email like every week or like every day. Just send it at a regular cadence. I would say, depending on the industry, depends on how you want to communicate with and how they like to be communicated. But I'll say for testing out the waters, once a month might be fine. And then you can try two times a month and see how that goes. So test the waters and see what happens. Yeah, so email services, there's MailChimp, there's HubSpot, HubSpot. And they don't only allow you like to design the emails and make it easy, like to have a template, just plug in the information and the new picture. Your address list, like I said, and then they have analytics, so you can track who's opening, how quickly they open, if they drop off, and stuff like that, which can be really eye-opening. Less is more, like everything else. Keep it simple. People are not going to read. If it's cumbersome and confusing to read, no one's going to read it. Make sure you have a clear objective for every email that you send. So what do I want to happen with this email? Do I want people to come shop? Do I just want people to be informed? I feel like they're getting value from us. So have clear plans for that email, and test it out. Like I said, test everything out. Test out subject lines, see what works, see what doesn't work, see what people engage with, what people don't engage with. It's trial and error to the day dot with digital marketing. All right, customer advocacy marketing. Some brands will send print newsletters and fashion brochures through postal mail. So that's more, so the question is, some brands will still send print newsletters and fashion brochures through postal mail. What is your thought about this? My thought about this, so I believe the stat is 80% of postal, like junk mail, postal mail doesn't get opened. So it depends on your market. Look into whether your market actually engages with such. I'm inclined to say no. I don't think anyone is engaging really, especially, again, it depends. So if you're, a good example is my company. We have quite a number of Gen X and even older as our client base, and they like print. But then we also have a huge client base of millennials and even a few Gen Zs. They would not want anything printed sent to them. So look at your market, but I would say no, most likely. How do you market on LinkedIn? Is it cold marketing or uploading content with the hope of engaging with the target audience? So with LinkedIn, it's value. Make sure you are putting out articles, blog posts, or posts that add value to people's lives or the market that you're trying to target. So keep doing that consistently and engage with other people's content so that they engage back. That's a good way to build organically on LinkedIn. And I think when you do have something that has a good engagement, test out having a paid content on LinkedIn. Cold marketing, I'm not a fan of. I don't think works. I don't think, again, it's that outbound marketing. They're not coming to you, you're going to them. So you're not really building a community. So even if you do get that one conversion, they're not going to come back, So I wouldn't advise you to cold marketing. Yeah. So yeah, with customer advocacy marketing, trust is at an all-time low. So you want to think about turning your happiest customers into promoters of your brand. So one way to identify your happiest customers is to run a Net Promoter Score, which is an NPS survey. You've seen it. I'm going to show you an example. You've seen this all the time. You didn't even know what's happening. these surveys measure how likely someone is to recommend your brand or service to someone else. And then based off of that, like I said before, with just scrolling through who's engaging, based off of the survey and the results you get back, target that high percentage of people that would recommend your brand, target them for surveys, target them for interviews, target them ask them to share your content, target them specifically for sharing to other people because they're more likely to, because they already said that they would. And let me just show you what a net promoter score. I'm sure you've all seen this before at like the bottom of an email or on a website after you've bought something. So how likely it usually is always this question: how likely are you to recommend brand to friend or colleague or family based on your market? And then the people that say, so the people that you want to target for to become advocates are the promoters. So that people that click 9 to 10. So focus on them and have them, ask them to share your content on social media, ask them to leave a review on your website if that's necessary for your market or for your industry. So this is a very big one that people don't think about with digital marketing. All right, some honorable mentions just quickly. Like I said, there's so many. Paid search ads is, having a great website. Organically, you will pop up higher, but sometimes you want to leapfrog that to the top of the page of the results. So you can pay to have your SEO at the top, basically. Display advertising, that just basically means when someone is browsing their site, when you see that embedded ad or that embedded marketing, that's what that means. I wouldn't advise that for if you're just starting out, because I think it could be regrettable spend in terms of your resources. So I wouldn't advise that. But as you grow, it might be something you want to look into. And then native marketing is just, it's an advert that looks like something like the content that surrounds it. So think about when you're on a newspaper website and then you get an ad for another article or from another site that is similar. So for example, with with the brand that I worked with, we worked in hair care. So we put ads into articles like top 5 best hair dryers, and then we put like an ad to an article that we had written that was similar, and then that would drive to. But again, this is something that you don't need to consider when you're starting out. I have some additional resources there for you guys to take a look at. Some more reading. I hope you guys like reading. I love reading. So we're going towards the end of the presentation. So some tools for building your website. Wix is a great one. Squarespace. Wow. Squarespace is a great one as well. I use Wix, and I'll just quickly show you guys. So I use Wix for my portfolio. Can you guys see this? Just quickly show you what it looks like. It's very bare bones. Obviously, it's just a portfolio, so it doesn't need to be that extensive. So just some stuff there. And then I wanted to show you guys the back end of Wix. So this is what it looks like. You can build, and then we can just edit site. And you can see really quickly how quick and easy. Like building this website took me, I like very stickler for details. So that's probably why it took me longer than it should have, but it took me a day and a half. I just took a weekend and I focused in on building that. Actually, it took me a day and then like a day of testing, like a half day of testing. Sorry, my computer is slow. Okay, while we wait for that to load, I wanted to show you just some things you can do. Oops. Some potential sites you can build on Wix, and Squarespace is similar. I use Wix because I believe you have to pay for Squarespace, but look at both of them, what they offer and what works best for you. If I wanted my domain, so right now I don't have my domain, I just have .wix.site. If I wanted angelasalami.com, I would have to pay for that. So that's what paying for a domain means. I'm not there yet, but for your business, you might want to. So yeah, this is the back end. Just quickly move things around. I haven't updated my, can move things around, add stuff in. Very easy to use. It's just like, I'm trying to think of something that's comparable. But yeah, it's just like a really easy editing tool. And then you can put in whatever. So that's that. Just wanted to quickly show you guys that. And then just show you really quickly some examples that they have on here of, you know, some sites that you can create. And if you guys can see, there's a trend of very kind of simplistic, simple design, or, you know, very graphic driven design. So yeah, that's some of the stuff you can build. And then, so you just pick a template and then you start putting in the content based on moving things around based on how you want people to navigate. And then you have all the UX. That's the last thing I wanted to show you with Wix. And this is for Squarespace as well. They have this as well, but I just use Wix right now because I'm cheap. I hope this isn't slow for Canva. Yeah, so it has analytics, it has SEO. So the SEO, it will guide you on like where to put your headings, where to put your alternative text for your images and all of those things. So it has analytics, everything is in there for you. So check it out. You don't have to pay for it. I think it's integral to have even if it's just one landing page that has an about, sign up for my newsletter, just something where people can get information. We have dropped. Okay. Another thing I wanted to cover is Google Analytics. A lot of people don't know Google Analytics is free. Of course, there's like, you can scale up, but it is free. So make use of it. It'll have analytics on your site, on how well you're showing up, what you need to change, how much people are coming, how much traffic you're getting. It's free. You know, literally just type in Google Analytics. It's free. Yeah, so the tip I have for you for this one, please, your initial, like I said, it does not need to be elaborate. Key information, contact information, brand presence, and then pay attention to your SEO and UX, and you're good to go. So don't feel like you need to build out like the most elaborate website. No, Taman, please. In fact, a lot of the really elaborate websites, people don't like to go on them. And then tools for social media marketing. So when I worked, I used Adobe. I actually use all of these for design. I've done, like, I was, I guess, trained in Adobe at school. I don't use it as much anymore because I have designers that is their job. But when you're starting out, it's just you. When I was starting out, it was just me for the startup that I worked for. So I use Adobe. Canva is a great one. I'm going to show you guys, we're going to create a campaign together after all of this on Canva. If you guys can download it or open it up and register on your computer, it's free of charge. It's great. You can even use, if you don't have a business, you can just use it to create stuff for your personal social media. It's free. And then the Splice is for video. You can actually do video on Canva now. So I don't know how useful Splice will be, but it's something that you can have as well to make quick videos, even if it's elaborate, but you just don't have that skill set of making design. You can do it and everything is easy for you to understand. Can Wix be used instead of WordPress? I prefer Wix to WordPress when you're starting out. I had WordPress before. I wasn't a fan. That's why I moved to Wix. I feel like Wix is a lot more design driven. WordPress was a lot more content for blogging, but blogging changed in that blogging is a lot more design driven now. So I would recommend Wix over WordPress, Wix or Squarespace over WordPress. I had the same predicament. I had a WordPress and it just wasn't working for me. I knew I needed my visual identity to be clear and great, and easy to navigate. And WordPress is a lot difficult to do that. When WordPress is built out, so you pay someone to build it out, it's a lot better. But like the baseline, I'm not a big fan of. So yeah, Wix can be used instead of WordPress. For planning and scheduling, so there's Hootsuite, there's Planoly, there's HubSpot, and these just help you, you know, you can, so what I used to do when I worked for the startup that I worked, on like a Saturday, I would designate Saturday morning, I'm going to plan out all my social media for that week for every single app that we were on. And then I would use Hootsuite, I would use Planoly, I use Hootsuite and Planoly, HubSpot is another one, but I use Hootsuite and Planoly to schedule it. So you just schedule it in and you know it's gonna go out when you're scheduled it. So you can schedule it for the whole week. And then what that allows you to do is that, okay, you can focus more on engaging with people when you do have a few, you know, minutes during the week. Because a lot of times as business owners, we have 9 to 5s. You know, we have other jobs that we're doing, we're busy, we have family, we have other things to think about. So we can maybe only dedicate 5 minutes in a day even, or 10 minutes in a day to be answering to people's questions. So what these planning tools allow you to do is that you're not focused on having to post, you know, during those times, because you should post a regular cadence. So you should post as often as you can. I would say at least 3 times a week if you can. So planning that out, and just also that helps you plan with your strategy. So I would highly recommend checking those out. And then for free stock photos, yeah, you're creating stuff on Canva, but you might have a need for photos. So Unsplash and Pixels, they're free. They have some pretty good stuff. I usually use stock photos for, I don't usually use stock photos for like humans, but you can do that too. But I also I worked in beauty and I had assets for humans, but I used it for like other stuff like plants and product shots and stuff like that. So those are a few. All right, so Canva. So did everyone, even if you didn't get Canva, we'll just walk through it. We're gonna create a quick campaign. So this is what Canva looks like on a computer. It's pretty easy to use. Should we create an Instagram post? We're gonna do this year. I haven't used Canva in over a year, like I said. Now I work with designers, so I haven't had to. Let's do an Instagram post for our sunglass business. Sorry guys, I apologize for my slow computer. So yeah, the reason why I just want to quickly go through this, because I just want to show you guys how easy it is and how accessible it is to build content, you know, visual content for your brand. All right, so they have all these templates for you. See, they even have coronavirus Instagram posts, and then you just put in your colors, put in your branding, and you're good to go, and put in your messaging. So for example, if you remember that Crave example with the inbound and outbound, like their Instagram posts can easily be created on Canva. All right, I'm gonna try not to be indecisive. I'm very indecisive when it comes to design. So let's go with this one. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I like autumn colors. So we have this. So maybe we want to bring a picture in. So let's go to Unsplash. So these are the free photos. And let's type in sunglasses. Obviously, we'll probably have product shots of our products, but if we don't. Ooh, I kind of like this picture. So let's download that. Zoom is messing with me. All right. Do we want to change this to like a square? I kind of like the circle. So let's. So we ungroup. And the thing with these kind of tools is that you just have to play around with it until you're comfortable with it. So you can see I haven't used it in a while, so I'm even struggling. So let's see. Let's upload the photo. Oh, that's another thing. They do have some photos for you as well. Let's actually see what we get when we, sometimes it might be more, you have to pay for it, but they have some free stuff and similar stuff. I kind of like chilling by the pool because I wish I was chilling by a pool. So let's put that in there. Summer is not over. That's my campaign. I'm not a fan of this font, so let's change that because for me it's hard to read. So I will go with this. It's too big. Let's change it around. So you guys can see it's like paint. It's literally like paint. If you guys ever used to play with paint for an obscene amount of time when you were younger. All right. And tagline, let's say, keep calm and summer on. Didn't spell that right. And then let's change colors because I feel like this isn't my brand ethos. Maybe my brand is, and then you can specify. I have a brand color that I know off the top of my head, but I forget. So let's just go in here. A little bit warmer. Okay. And for the, I kind of like it. I like it like this. And then we can move this. Ooh, I like that drop shadow. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep it like this. I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is. We could even change this picture behind, and what they did here, I believe, is just up the transparency. So you can put an image behind and then up the transparency. So play around with it, see what you like, try out the features. It's really, really easy to use. And it's a great way to create content. Like I said, so I would like designate maybe Friday evening or a day or Saturday to create the content, then Sunday to schedule it. And then I know all I have to do during the week is like reply to people and maybe think of strategy and stuff like that and do other things that have to do with the business. All right, so let's head back to the presentation. Oh, and you can do video on, this is actually new. I have never used video on Canva yet. I know it's new, so you can put in video, which I think is pretty cool, pretty awesome, because like I said, video is clean now. And then you have royalty-free music. And on Splice as well, you have royalty-free music that you can put in because you don't want to get copyrighted, especially on YouTube. All right. Let's get rid of that. So I'm gonna spend the last couple of minutes just talking about, before I go into this, actually, if anyone has any questions about digital marketing and you want to drop off before I go into, my journey and breaking into digital marketing and so on and so forth, just put them in the chat. Or if you want, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself. I will give you guys a few minutes. Seconds. Okay. All right, breaking into digital marketing. A few, like what you need to ask yourself is there a specific industry that you want to work in? If the answer is no, that's great. Try out different things. Like I said, I've worked in different industries. I've tried out different things. I'm still trying out different things. Who knows where I'm going to end up, in a couple of years. So if there is a specific one that you're interested in, the next slide, I'm going to like touch on a few things you can do. Oh, okay. Questions are coming in. What is the competitive advantage of each? Wix, Squarespace. Honestly, they're all the same. They're honestly all the same. What makes them different is their branding, and then Wix is free. Is free for the base level. Squarespace isn't. The only other thing I would say is Squarespace does have a specific look to their platforms, and then if you are going to scale up, I know there's different backend developing if you're going to get a developer, but basically they're the same. Shopify, yes, Shopify is great. And then Shopify can also be linked to Wix or Squarespace. If you decide you want to build your website outside of Shopify, you can also link it as well. What is the average annual salary of a digital marketing specialist in North America? It ranges. It ranges based on industry. It could be anything, but I'll say entry level in North America. I can only speak to Canada. I would say about 45K for entry level, average. And then, but there are people that are entry level that are earning 60 plus. It all depends on the industry. If salary is something that's important to you, and it's totally fine if it is, then look for industries that pay a bit more. Let me see if there's any question that I missed. Yeah, so Squarespace and Wix, I didn't find much of a difference. But yeah, as I was saying, Squarespace does have like a specific look to some of its templates. Squarespace, so Square. And then if you're scaling up, there is, I know one of the developers that I was working with at TEDx was saying that there is some differences, but it's not anything that major. Anything that can be done on one can be done on the other. It's just, it might be a little bit difficult on one or the other. And it goes both ways, so they kind of even out. If we want the skills in order of competitiveness and attractiveness for employability, which are your top three skills? I think understanding SEO is a good one. Having some kind of copywriting experience. So for me, I did a writing degree, and then of course with like social media, you have to write a lot of copy. So having that experience. And then a third one, analytics. Having a good grasp of analytics is key. But again, it all depends on the industry. It all depends on what you're applying to. But I'll say analytics, SEO, and maybe some content copywriting experience could be good. For me, I had design experience, copywriting, and some offline and some other stuff. My analytics experience wasn't huge, but it didn't really matter, which is something I'm going to touch on. Any other question I missed? No. So yeah, another thing I just wanted to mention in terms of breaking into the industry, try and understand if you want to focus on something specific, because like you guys saw, like this was a lot of content, and every single one of these is specialized. There are people that do only email marketing. There are people that do only SEO. There are people that do only social. Even within social media, there are people that do only community engagement, which is just replying to people. It's kind of and engaging with people. So advertising, there's so many specific parts of advertising. I was an analyst in advertising, and then I moved into account executive, so sales basically. So there's so many different things. So figure out if you want to specify, and then try and find some kind of course to take or read up and practice on that specification that you want to go into. But you can also just go into digital marketing full force. that happens too, but just be prepared to wear many hats, and that might be a bit challenging. Any legal issues if pictures of people are used from the royalty-free website? Oh, no, there's no legal issue. The reason why I preferred using, the reason why I didn't really use them for people shots, because you can't really find a lot of Black people, and the target market was Black people. So that's why. But yeah, anyone that's on there has already signed the waiver, like a waiver with the photographer, and the photographer owns the picture, and the picture has been put there for free. So yeah, there's no issue with that. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly go over like how I got into digital marketing, and some tips. Or do you necessarily need a degree in communications or marketing to get into the industry? No, you do not. I know people that work in the industry that were lawyers. I know people that work in the industry that were computer scientists. I know people that work in the industry that were whatever. What really matters is showing that you have the skill set, and that could be, yes, it could be from taking a course, but it could also be from working, doing internships. That's how I showed that I had the skill set. Of course, I had the degree, but I hadn't, like, just FYI for everyone, like when I started these jobs, I hadn't graduated. So I didn't have my degree technically. I started out by volunteering. I volunteered for a festival as a communications volunteer. That's how I started out. And then from that, I moved into working for a startup that I worked for. And they just took a chance on me. I just asked them, you never know what happens when you just ask, just keep knocking on doors and networking. And then, so from there, I built that skill set. And again, it's just trial and error. I was trying. Of course, I was learning some stuff alongside at my work at my school, but school will never prepare you for the real world. So volunteering really, really helps. And I know it sucks because no one wants to do free work, but it is a way, especially if you're coming into a new industry and a new market, like I was. I'm not Canadian, so I was coming into a new market. So I needed to show that I'd worked for a Canadian company and that they could trust me. So I also worked for TEDx at my school. That was a good one as well because I was exposed to many aspects of marketing. But again, I wasn't paid for that. So that was a volunteer position. So it goes to show you, and the reason why I say I wish it wasn't this way, because I don't think free work is fair, but it is this way at the moment. So I think taking a lot of volunteer positions and internships would only do you a good. Do you need a portfolio built to be able to show what you can do? Maybe a website showing your different strengths? I would say, yeah. I would advise, yeah. I had another portfolio before that one that I showed you guys. That was on WordPress. It wasn't as good, but yeah, I had something that people could refer to. And nothing on there until I got my my job with the startup. It was all like stuff I'd done outside of any kind of work. It was just like, things I tried, things I'd created. I just put it on there because I'd done it. And even though no one paid me for it, no one really saw it, it was still showing that I have some kind of skill set. So I think, yeah, building a portfolio is good. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it, but it is good. Especially in this time and age, you're competing with a lot of people. So doing every single touch point that you can, I would say do it. Yeah, of course. Putting me on the spot here. I don't think it's up to date. It's still from like 2 months, but I'll send it. I'll put it in the chat like once I'm done talking, or you can add me on LinkedIn. It's also on my LinkedIn page. It's, yeah. So in terms of, that's one thing that I really want to drive home, internships, freelance work. Freelance work is a great way. So people think of your mom or your dad or that uncle that has a small business that they're not really doing anything with it. Ask them if they want you, they could pay you, they could not, to start, social media presence for them. Start there. That's showing collateral and showing work that you've done, and you can use that to market yourself into, a paid position or something more in line with what you want to do. So network. I do a lot of networking. Oh, I whenever I'm looking for a job, I do a lot of networking. And it's just because at the end of the day, you could have the best resume in the world, the best portfolio, but unfortunately, a lot of the times there is something to be said about who you know. My current job, I got through networking. There wasn't even, and that's a thing a lot of people don't know, there wasn't even a job posting for it. I would never have known about the job if I hadn't networked. So start with your family and your friends, their friends, their friends' friends. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. Don't be too intrusive, ask them questions that you have about digital marketing, and if they mind, taking a few. If they can just answer it on LinkedIn and show your interest and just balance it, tread that line of not being too much. But I think networking is a big one. And then in terms of my journey, like I said, the reason why I got my agency job was because I had done my volunteering at a festival. And because my manager also used to volunteer for that same festival. So if I had never done that, who knows if I would have gotten that job, So I wasn't the most qualified. I did not know coding. Coding was needed for that job. I knew a little bit, very little HTML, but and that's another thing. Don't think, oh, I'm not qualified for a job. Trust and believe, any good place is going to train you. So you don't need to know everything. So keep that in mind. So I went in, I didn't know any HTML. I learned it quick. And I'm where I am today. So don't think, if you hit 3 things on that job post, apply. Another thing I would say about applying for jobs is, whatever is a key thing they're looking for, make sure it shows up in your resume as often as possible. So for example, they're looking for a digital marketer. Digital marketing should hit in your profile at least 5 times more, so that when their computer it's going through it, it picks you up. Is there anything else about my journey that I wanted to mention? And talk about your achievements. Share that with people. It goes a long way. People then know what you're capable of, what your skill sets are. People are not going to be able to reach out to you if they don't know. What's the next slide? Oh, so all the stuff that I mentioned, freelance work. Essentially, my work with the startup was freelance. I was part-time, but more full-time. But I was part-time, and I lived in Canada when I started, and then I lived in France. I never even lived in England while I worked for them. It was a British company. So I used to go from France to England, but I never actually lived in England. So you can find international opportunities, reach out to people, family members. It was through a family member that I got this, and that's why I really honed that in. And I know a lot of people that have the same journey, where they start out learning the basics and learning how to do this through, family members' businesses that they weren't doing anything, and they weren't planning on doing anything with social media. So that's a great opportunity for you to just put your name out there. Build skills outside of digital marketing. This is a big one. I think the skills that you already have are relevant. Trust and believe. I did offline marketing with TEDx. I did digital with them too, but I did offline marketing with them. I had design, copywriting, editing, and these were all, technically they're not digital marketing, but they are relevant to what I do. I use them till this day. So build skills, whatever skills that you have are relevant. When you're looking at a job posting, look at the description. What I do, I make a table. I look at what they're looking for. I put it down, and then I put in that table everything that I've done that could work for that. And then I make a sentence, flip their sentence, make it work with what I've done. So that's a good tip. And yeah, any other questions? Any questions in general about my journey, about breaking into digital marketing, about digital marketing in general? I'm gonna drink my water while I wait. Oh, and that's the end of the presentation, by the way.
Thank you so much, Angela, for this insightful session. I have learned a whole lot
No, really,
to help
thank
me.
you. I was
Actually,
hoping it was, yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. This is really good because I'm currently paying someone to build a website, and I'm feeling bad that I should have used Wix. But I also learned a lot about how do I optimize my SEO to make sure that I'm showing up where people are looking for my services.
Yeah.
Also, how to better engage my audience. Now I'm thinking about maybe doing a survey or interviewing some of the participants. And one thing that was key for me was how to convert my customers into advocates, people who will go out there and talk about my brand. So this has been very, very, very insightful. Thank you so much for
one thing
also walking us through your journey.
Of course. One thing I'll say about just advice, the person building your website, make sure ask them if they're building it on a site that you can edit on and do SEO on easily, just so it's easy for you to maintain. And then I see Folake asked me to say a little bit more about copywriting. So copywriting is anything from writing a social media post. That when you have your flight picture and you're thinking of a caption, that is copywriting. So anything from that to all the way to writing a full-blown article. I don't really do writing articles. I did when I was in university for, like school, because it was part of my degree. But in terms of like full-blown like reporting, no. But writing copy for social media, writing short blog posts, those are all copywriting. So do it often and you get better at it. Now I can write a social media, I can look at an article, write a social media post in like less than 5 minutes, 2 minutes even. So and that came with just doing it over and over again. So try it out. Even go on pages, look at a picture and be like, what would I make the social, before looking at the post, like the caption, think, what would I make the caption for this? And just try it out.
Well, maybe we'll let our audience go 7 minutes early today. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thank you for joining in. And we hope that this session has helped you to think about your career. If you're thinking about a career in digital marketing, if you're a business owner, we hope that we have left you with something tangible that will make you go and overhaul your marketing portfolio and hopefully be able to do better at your business. And we hope that you join us again next week, where we'll bring you another coach, another trainer to help us go through another topic that is related to Industry 4.0 and the future of work. Again, thank you to our presenter, Angela, for sharing your amazing knowledge. You are very engaging. You're a very great communicator. 3 hours and I'm still kind of stuck in taking pictures. Thank you.
Too much.
Thank you. So everyone, if you haven't dropped your email, please try to fill in the mailing list. And we hope to send you this video alongside the slides for you to, and also we'll send you the poster for next week's presentation and training that we have. Thank you again for spending 3 hours of your Saturday with us, for sharing the knowledge, and for the people who receive it. Please watch the video again if you're trying to optimize your business. Watch it again if you're trying to also get into career. Remember that you are a brand and you are important, and you can increase your value proposition. You can turn those likes into a marketing strategy where money is going to be made. Yeah. Thank you from myself and from the AfricaHacks team. And this will be goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and please stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.